All right, here is the final exam. I'm going to go through this with you so that we can all be familiar. And if you have any questions after going through this and after diving into the questions yourself, you can, as always, please don't be shy about reaching out to me and trying to schedule a meeting with me or just asking you questions via email, Canvas message, whatever works best for you. I'm here for you, making myself available as we get into this final stretch of the summer term. We're almost there. You've been working really hard, and I appreciate it. So um, glad to help you through the final stretch here. I believe this is going to be my last video that I'm recording for you, and so in that, like I did in the previous video in module 6 here, I just again want to thank you for participating in this course, and I want to also wish you the best remaining summer possible, and I hope you all have a really good time. I hope you all took a lot out of this course, and I hope that you can use some of the skills. In fact, I hope you can use most of the skills in this course in your own way. Again, digital mapping is just transferable to so many different careers and so many different domains of study that I believe it is possible for no matter what career you get into to potentially use many of these skills in this course. And I also hope specifically with the quantitative learning stuff that this course has helped you to kind of get over some of the anxiety that you might have been feeling about some negative experiences you might have had in the past regarding math. It was nice on, for instance, Slack to interact with some of you and to see some of your stories and feelings about some of this, about just dealing with math in general. Anyway, so second exam, here we are. And so I explained the grading, first of all, here in the beginning. And this exam, similarly to some of the other labs and the past exam, will involve some data that I want you to be downloading. So I'm going to open that up and share my screen. Actually, let me switch the screen that I'm sharing so that we can look at the data, the Excel sheet. So here's the Excel sheet. Pretty sure that's what we're looking at. Yeah, here's the Excel sheet. And oops, I'm moving that around. You can see the data includes COVID data for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different cities across the United States. And so each of these different 5 rows are for each of the 5 cities. And then each column is for a different month. And then at the end, the final 2 columns include the state that the city is within. So Tampa, Florida, for instance, or Omaha, Nebraska, for instance. And then it also includes the final column is the population numbers. And so it's important to note that, well, let's actually get back to the exam. Let me, yeah, hold that thought. Let me get back to the actual exam. So again, here's the exam. So the exam is in 4 parts, and part 1 is going to be dealing with that Excel data. And just going to move this here. There we go. So the first question under part 1 is that I'm basically going to ask you a bunch of things in this part about the states, the cities and states, and those columns, those population columns, and the information in there. So for question 1, your answer is going to be one of those cities. And I'm asking per capita, right? Per capita is referring to density, and that, and so instead of using area, we're dividing the COVID case counts by population. So again, like, for instance, if a very populous city happens to also have a lot of COVID cases, it's unfair to compare that raw number to a less populous city. So it's important to normalize, the word is normalize. It's important to normalize those raw numbers by population, so per capita. So for instance, Tampa has a lot more people than New Orleans. We need to be, if we want to really compare those 2 cities in a fair way, we're going to have to divide by population numbers, normalize to get that per capita. Question 2, I'm looking for the average. Again, average is the key, and so we'll remember what we do with average. Question 3, which county has the lowest standard deviation across all of the months. And question 4 is going to be dealing with, I'm asking for histograms from 2 counties. If you remember what histograms are, again, it's those charts, those bar charts essentially. And then question 5, I'm asking for frequency tables of these COVID cases across those 8 months. And if, in case you do forget any of these terms and any of these mathematical concepts, I want to remind everybody to go back to either module 4 or module 5. Those are the 2 modules where I introduced a lot of these concepts to you. And so you can please go back and rewatch these videos if you need to, rewatch my tutorials I made for you if you need to do that. This is where you'll find all of the information necessary to do a good job on this exam. And so anyway, let's move on to part 2, telling a story about your COVID analysis. So part 2, you'll be making basically you'll be making sense out of this data and telling a story with the data. This is for the purpose of helping you to think more both qualitatively and critically about what you're seeing in this data in order to give you practice with data interpretation. These are very important skills. So part 1 is going to be just sort of processing and dealing with this data. And that's very important, of course. But part 2 is going to be actually taking a step back and thinking through this stuff and telling a story about it. That's arguably even more important of a skill in how to deal with data. And this is, of course, extremely relevant and important skills that you can use in any career or any line of work or any area of study. And so in part 2, I'm going to be asking for the story stuff, but specifically looking at question 3, I'm asking you to to Google policies from 2020, which is the year that this COVID data is from, policies that those cities used to try to stop COVID. And then question 4 is I want you to find policies from other international cities outside the United States and see how those policies might be different from the cities in this data table, and to make an argument for why or why not maybe using that policy from that international city might have been worth using and to address COVID in that sense. So this is going to be, that'll leave room for you to bring in your own sort of stories and policy analyses and your own opinions based on reason and based on what you've been finding with these policies. Of course, you can't just be spitballing here. And then question 5 is going to be about using the normal curve, using the standard deviation. So this is a normal curve right here. This normal curve can be applied to any statistical distribution. The average is in the middle right here, and then the standard deviations are each of these lines that extend outward, right? And so any distribution of data tends to take this normal bell curve shape. So I'm going to be asking you, and again, this is using that concept of the standard deviation that we learned about let me go back to module 4. Yeah, right here in module 4. So if you need a refresher on this, go back to module 4, activity 8, and do rewatch that video. And so anyway, you'll be applying that, and the questions, the parts of this question will be asking for dealing with +1 and +2 standard deviations. And so let's see. Part 5, question 5. So yeah, anyway, part 3, Living Atlas, right here. Now with this, I will be asking you to make a United States COVID map. And I want you to use this file that you're going to download right here. Now this file is in the file format called GeoJSON, and it means geographic JavaScript object notation, but that's outside of the realm of this course. You don't need to worry about that file format. You do need to download it, but don't try to open that file just as a raw file on your computer. You won't be able to do anything with that. What I want you to do is open it within Living Atlas. And then with that, you'll be able to make your map and to tell your story. And as we follow the instructions as long as you follow the instructions closely, you will be able to do this. And then the final part is going to be to analyze the COVID map. And again, these concepts you'll be using for this analysis were explained in module 5. So do go back to module 5 and rewatch these videos if you need a refresher on this stuff. And so using those concepts like ecological fallacy and so forth from module 5, you'll be able to answer these questions to analyze the maps here. And here I'm looking at an electoral map of the 2020 election. Can't believe we're already in 2022 now and coming up on another midterm election where we're going to have more of this stuff. So this is, even though this is slightly old news, it is still quite relevant for this coming year. And so you'll be seeing this, of course, if you pay any attention to the news. It's good to kind of get used to how these maps work. This is one way these skills can be applied. And I'm going to be asking you in question 3 here, just to explain, I'm sorry, in question 2, to explain just in 3 to 4 sentences what an electoral college and how it works. So you'll be doing a little bit of your own research to answer this question if you're not unfamiliar. And it's not exactly relevant, but I think it's important enough. I wanted to include it in this exam. And then question 3 is going to be about gerrymandering in the state of Pennsylvania. And again, you're going to be using concepts in these in parts A and B, concepts from module 5. And again, do go back to module 5 if you need that refresher. Also, I'm asking you to be as specific as possible when answering A and B here for full credit. And so please name the counties and download this map if you need more county names than what than the counties you're personally aware of. And I believe that about explains it. So thanks, class. And please, I hope you enjoy this, and please reach out if you need it. I'll be in touch with you. Have a good one, everybody, and good luck.